Hey everyone, today we're going to be breaking down everything that happened in the conference finals of the 2026 NBA playoffs.
Yeah, and in addition to that, we're also going to do an NBA Finals preview and give some quick thoughts there as well.
If you enjoy this video, please give it a like and hit the subscribe button as there will be plenty more videos along the way. Let's dive in. Alrighty, let's get started out east with the Knicks Cavs Eastern Conference Finals matchup. Before we get into the actual games, the setup for this series was pretty interesting.
Yeah, because the Knicks came in with a lot of rest after sweeping their last series, while Cleveland had just survived a Game 7 about 48 hours earlier.
Yeah, so New York had the cleaner path, but there was always that risk of coming out a bit flat.
Yeah, Cleveland had the opposite problem. They were definitely battle tested after surviving two Game 7s against the Raptors and Pistons in their first two series, but they're probably running on fumes heading into this series with such a quick turnaround.
For the Knicks, though, this was also bigger than just another conference finals. They had not made the NBA finals since 1999, and this felt like their best chance in a long, long time.
Yeah, Cleveland also had the names to make it interesting here, like Mitchell, Mobley, Harden, Allen. There's definitely enough there to at least make New York work for it.
Yeah, game one definitely started that way. Cleveland looked sharp early, and the Knicks looked like a team that had been sitting around waiting for the series to start.
The Cavs pushed the lead out to 22 in the fourth quarter, and at that point, it looked like New York had left themselves way too much work to do.
Mitchell was active, Mobley was doing his thing on the glass and around the rim, and the Knicks just could not find a rhythm.
But then Brunson started doing Brunson things.
Yeah, and it was not one giant swing either. It was possession by possession, get a stop, hit a shot, get the crowd back involved, and suddenly Cleveland started to panic.
Brunson said after the game that the message was basically to keep fighting and chip away, and that's exactly what happened. His ability to manipulate off the dribble, get the matchup he wanted in James Harden, and then just hit tough floater after tough floater was incredible to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And also, Landry Shamet also deserves a lot of credit. Josh Hart was benched late. Shamet came in and hit massive shots, including the one that sent it to overtime.
Yeah, from there, the Knicks won the overtime period convincingly 14-3, which is just brutal if you're the Cavs. You had the game won, you let it slip, and then you get absolutely monstered in the extra period.
Brunson finished with an amazing 38 points, 6 assists, and 3 steals, easily one of his best games of the playoffs.
For Cleveland, Mitchell had 29, Mobley finished with 15 and 14, but the bench just didn't give them enough. Dennis Schroeder going 1 for 9 particularly hurt really badly.
Yeah, Harden also struggled. 1 for 8 from 3, more turnovers than field goals made. That is a pretty rough playoff line.
Final score, Knicks 115 to the Cavs 104 in overtime, and New York lead the series 1-0.
Yeah, game 2 felt like the moment where Cleveland had to respond straight away.
Yeah, because after blowing game 1, you can't just come out flat again. Well, that is basically what happened.
The Knicks looked more connected from the start. The crowd was into it, the ball was moving, and everyone looked confident.
Josh Hart was probably the best example of that. He got benched late in game 1, and then came out in game 2 and puts up 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals.
Yeah, crazy stuff. And he also took 21 shots, which tells you he was not second guessing anything. He started the game 0 for 3 from deep, and the Cavs' strategy of leaving him wide open appeared to be working.
Well, after that, Hart finished 5 for 11 on the night from 3, absolutely punishing them for their defensive game plan. Brunson also had 19 points and 14 assists, Towns chipped in 18 and 13, and OG, as always, gave them another good two-way game.
Yeah, and it wasn't those three that just led the Knicks offensively. New York shot 51% from the field, and Cleveland just did not have the same level of shot making or energy.
By the end of the game, Madison Square Garden was chanting Knicks in 4, which is bold after 2 games, but honestly, you could see why they felt that way.
Final score, Knicks 109, Cavaliers 93. New York lead the series 2-0.
Game 3 moved back to Cleveland, and this was really the Cavs' chance to make it a series.
Yeah, but instead the Knicks kept getting contributions from everywhere and took care of business once again.
Brunson had 30, Bridges 22, OG 21, and Hart was filling in every gap with rebounds, assists, and steals.
And Shamet kept popping up the worst possible times for Cleveland.
That was the thing with New York all series. It wasn't just Brunson and Towns doing damage. You know, if one guy cooled off, someone else came in off the bench and stepped in.
Cleveland Stars did score, but the turnovers were just a killer.
Yeah, Mitchell, Harden, and Mobley combining for 16 turnovers against this Knicks team, they're going to turn those mistakes into points quickly.
Yeah, the big swing was Shamet hitting 3 threes in 99 seconds. That basically took a close game and made it feel like out of reach.
Yeah, at this point, you could definitely feel the series slipping away from Cleveland.
The final score was Knicks 121 to the Cavs 108. New York lead the series 3-0.
Game 4 was the closeout chance, and for Cleveland, it was really just about showing some pride.
But New York came out like they wanted no part of going back to Madison Square Garden for Game 5.
Yeah, they pushed the pace, they got on the glass, created second chances, and Cleveland just couldn't keep up.
Towns had 19 and 14, OG added 17 and 7, and Shamet was ridiculous again with 16 points on 83% shooting.
Deuce McBride also gave them 11 points and 3 steals in his 16 minutes, and the bench just kept producing for New York.
Mitchell still fought hard with 31, but by that stage, Cleveland looked beaten.
Yeah, the Knicks lead got out to 45 at one point, and I mean, that pretty much tells the story, doesn't it?
Yeah, and just like that, the Knicks win 130 to the Cavs 93, a 37-point win, and New York completed the sweep.
For the Cavs, they're going to be having some pretty hard conversations in this offseason. They're obviously good. They made an Eastern Conference Finals, but this series really made them look at least a piece or two away from being a real title contention team.
Yeah, and people will throw out the Giannis Antetokounmpo idea, but whether that's realistic is a whole different discussion.
Yeah, it's definitely a story for another day, but for today, the story is definitely all about New York.
Yeah, the Knicks are back in the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999.
Yeah, and I mean, as a Knicks fan, I'm not even going to play this one cool. This one meant a lot. I started watching in the late 2000s, so since my time being an NBA fan, there's been a lot of lean years.
Now they wait for the finals opponent, and people can still doubt whether they can win the whole thing.
I mean, they've won 11 straight playoff games. They're on the best 10-game stretch in NBA history, regular season or playoffs. And I mean, their point differential in the playoffs has just been ridiculous.
Yeah, it's truly great to see. The offense is rolling, the defense is locked in, and the whole rotation is giving them something.
Knicks fans, including myself, have waited nearly 3 decades for this moment. And I mean, now win or lose, it's pretty safe to say that New York is going to explode when the finals start.
All right, Spurs Thunder. Before the Knicks could find out who they were getting in the finals, these two had to battle it out in the West.
Yeah, and this was a pretty wild matchup on paper. OKC come in as the reigning champions, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander freshly crowned as the MVP for the second straight season.
But San Antonio had Wemby, and by this point, they were not just the fun young team anymore. They are genuinely dangerous and ready to win.
Yeah, the injuries concerns did start pretty early in this series for both sides. De'Aaron Fox missed the first 2 games for San Antonio after suffering an ankle injury in the West Semis. And for the Thunder, J-Dub played all of Game 1 and then left Game 2 after just 7 minutes of game time with the hamstring issue that he's been dealing with all year. But we're going to get to that in more detail later.
So yeah, from the start, both teams are already having to adjust.
Game 1 was pretty ridiculous. One of the best games in playoff history, to be honest. No Fox on the road, double overtime, and Wemby puts up 41, 24, and 4 stocks.
Yeah, truly ridiculous stuff, and a great game to watch. Dylan Harper was huge too. He became just the second rookie after Magic Johnson to put up 20, 10, 5, and 5 in a playoff game.
Yeah, OKC still had plenty of contributions from their end. I mean, Shea had 24 and 12, J-Dub had 26 of his own, and Caruso gave them a crazy 31 points off the bench.
But the moment everyone remembers is Wemby pulling up from basically the logo to force the second overtime in a game that felt like OKC was slowly taking control of in the extra period.
Yeah, that shot completely flipped the feel of the game. It really felt like OKC were going to pull away in that first overtime, but Wemby hits that shot, and I mean, San Antonio had every reason to fold in this one, but instead they were able to steal Game 1 in OKC.
Yeah, great game one and exciting times to come. The final scoring game was Spurs 122 to Thunder 115 in double overtime. San Antonio go up 1-0.
Game 2 was the Thunder's response, and they needed it badly.
Shea set the tone with 30 points and 9 assists, and OKC's bench gave them a massive lift.
McCain, AJ Mitchell, Cason Wallace combined for 34 points, 9 assists, and 10 steals altogether, while Caruso added another efficient 17.
Yeah, for the Spurs, Castle had 25 and 8, but also had 9 turnovers, which brought him to a total of 20 across the first 2 games.
Yeah, it's a pretty big issue, especially against a team like OKC, who could just turn those mistakes into points so quickly.
Yeah, for sure. San Antonio did lose Harper to this one due to injury, and after that he looked a bit hesitant over the next couple games. Whereas the Thunder lost their second best offensive option in J-Dub to another hamstring strain just 7 minutes into the game. This would become one of the stories of the series as he would play 10 more minutes in the entire series after that game.
Yeah, final score here, Thunder 122 to Spurs 113. Series tied 1-1, but J-Dub goes down.
Here we go. On to game 3, moved to San Antonio, and this felt like the point where OKC might start taking control.
Yeah, Shea had 26 and 12, McCain chipped in 24, and Caruso kept reducing, as well as Jay Will giving them 18 points off the bench on some really good efficiency.
Fox was back for the Spurs, but he was clearly still working his way back from the ankle. Harper played too, but he did not look fully confident after leaving game 2.
The Spurs starters all got into double figures, but the bench gap was massive.
Yeah, OKC's bench outscored San Antonio 76 to 23. That is almost impossible to survive.
Yeah, and that's a good win, but the win did come at a cost though, with AJ Mitchell hurting his calf after just 17 minutes of game time, and he ended up missing the rest of the series after this.
Yeah, and with what he's done so far, it was really tough to see from the young guard. So even while OKC went ahead, the injuries were starting to pile up. J-Dub was already out, and now Mitchell was gone too.
Final score, Thunder 123 to the Spurs 108, and OKC now lead 2-1.
On to game 4, where Santonio answered, and honestly, it was all about the defense.
Wemby had 33 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 stocks, but the main story here was OKC's offense just completely falling apart.
Yep, everyone. They shot 33% from the field and 6 for 33 from 3. That is rough no matter who you are playing.
Yeah, and without J-Dub and without AJ Mitchell as well, OKC really started to look short on some clean offense that they could generate.
Fox and Harper were playing again for San Antonio and both contributed, but you could still tell they were a bit hobbled.
Chet also started becoming a talking point here with J-Dub out. OKC really needed more from him offensively, and he just was not ready to put his stamp on the series yet. Wemby seemed to be choking him of any confidence on the offensive end.
And with that one, that ties the series at 2-2, Spurs 103 to Thunder 82.
Game 5, and we're going back to OKC, and the Thunder made their move in the second quarter.
Shea had 32 and 9, Caruso stayed hot with 22 off the bench, and McCain added 20 after moving into the starting lineup.
Yeah, Chet had one of his better games here too, with 16 and 11, so that was good to see.
But that was kind of the frustrating part. You could see the impact when he was involved, but it never really turned into him taking over the front court battle.
Yeah, and for San Antonio, Champagny had 22, Castle had 24, but Wemby had his worst game of the series, shooting just 26%.
There was also some late game controversy with the missed goaltending call on Cornet's tip in, and then the out of bounds call that had Mitch Johnson furious. Ultimately, it wouldn't be the difference in the game as OKC outplayed the Spurs down the stretch.
Definitely did, and the final score in this one would be Thunder 127 to Spurs 114. OKC now leading 3-2 heading into Game 6.
Game 6 was San Antonio's season on the line, and they came out with one of their best games of the playoffs.
They certainly did. Wemby had 28, 10, and 5 stocks. Castle was the steadier of the team. And Harper finally started to look like himself again with 18, 6, and 4 off the bench and getting back to that usual bounce we're used to seeing from him.
And yeah, on the other side, J-Dub tried to come back for OKC, but it just did not work.
Yeah, not at all. He played 10 minutes, went 0 for 1 from the field, and just never looked comfortable. It felt like OKC were really just seeing if he could give them anything at all, and unfortunately, it really backfired here in a big way, and especially in the Game 6, it's hard to watch.
Yeah. With J-Dub limited, Mitchell out, and the rotation under pressure, OKC never found a rhythm.
Every Thunder player finished with a negative plus-minus in this one, and Chet still could not settle things down.
The final score, Spurs notch a blowout win, 118 to 91, and that sends us to a Game 7 with the series tied 3-3.
So, Game 7, back in OKC, defending champs at home, one win away from another finals, but San Antonio coming in with real momentum, and OKC's injury situation and Chet's inability to perform in this series, it really felt like this game could go either way.
Shea did give them everything. He finished with 35 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 stocks, and with J-Dub and Mitchell out, he had a ridiculous amount in his plate.
Yeah, Cason Wallace was the main guy who really stepped up alongside Shea in this one. He finished with 17, 7, 4, and 2, and also added a block, so a pretty crazy stat line from him. And he also shot 5 for 9 from 3 in this one.
Yeah, his fourth quarter was massive. 14 points, 5 for 6 shooting, 4 for 5 from deep. He basically kept OKC alive.
But yeah, Chet's game just kind of became impossible to ignore in this game. With OKC desperate for another offensive option, he finishes the game with just 4 points, 4 rebounds, 0 assists, taking just 2 shots, 2 field goals in 33 minutes.
Wow. And he did not attempt a single field goal in the second half as well. Against Wemby's size and presence, he just looked way too passive.
So San Antonio got the team effort they needed here. I mean, Champagny hit some huge threes in this one. Wemby had 22, 7, and 2 stocks, and they just kept finding answers late.
The big swing came with Wemby on 5 fouls. Luke Cornett checks in with 7 minutes left in the fourth, chases down Ihar on the break, and blocks his layup attempt off the backboard.
Yeah, that was one of the plays of the series. I mean, one of the plays of the playoffs, honestly. It felt like the exact moment that the Spurs steadied themselves and truly believed that they could win the series.
From there, the Spurs held on, and after that game, Wemby summed it up pretty simple. We want 4 more.
Final score Spurs 111, Thunder 103. Spurs win 4-3 in a game 7 and move on to the finals.
Mitch Johnson did say after the game that the players met their biggest moment, and that is pretty much what happened.
San Antonio move on to face the Knicks in the NBA Finals.
For OKC, it is a rough way to go out, but I do think the injury context matters. They were completely banged up by the end.
Yeah, Wallace stepping up in Game 7 was such a positive, and Shea obviously left everything out there in Game 7 with probably his best game of the playoffs, but with no real secondary star available for OKC, it's really hard to be too harsh on Shea for this series. I know he struggled with efficiency overall, but I mean the burden on him to create pretty much everything in this series was just too much to overcome in the end.
But Chet's performance is going to be one of the biggest talking points. It'll be interesting what direction they take him in the future. But when OKC were short-handed and they needed him to be far more aggressive than he was.
All right, that's enough about OKC. It's time to discuss the finals.
NBA Finals, Knicks versus Spurs, which is honestly a pretty fun matchup. It is a rematch of the NBA Cup Final, and weirdly enough, a rematch of the last time the Knicks were in the finals back in 1999.
Yeah, and as a Knicks fan, that's not lost on me at all. I mean, the Knicks are trying to win their first title since 1973, while the Spurs are trying to win their first one without Tim Duncan. So there's a lot of history sitting under this series.
The Knicks come in absolutely flying. 11 straight playoff wins, the best net rating in the playoffs at a plus 20.1, and they have barely looked uncomfortable since game 1 against Cleveland.
That's what makes this so interesting, though. Like, New York have looked like the best team in the playoffs statistically, but San Antonio just knocked out the reigning champs in 7 games on their home floor. So it's not like the Spurs have fluked their way here by any means.
Yeah, San Antonio had the harder road for sure. The Oklahoma City series was pretty physical, emotional, and went the distance. I'm curious whether that sharpens them or whether they come into game 1 a bit drained.
Yeah, and meanwhile, the Knicks have had a lot of rest, which, I mean, should be good overall, but we did see them start pretty rusty against Cleveland after a longer layoff, so I wonder if the Spurs can jump them early in a similar fashion.
Regular season wise, the Knicks went 2-1 against the Spurs, including the NBA Cup win. But honestly, I do not know how much that matters now.
Yeah, same. It just gives the Knicks some confidence for sure, but this is the finals, and also, like, Victor Wembanyama is just a completely different problem once you're seeing him in a 7 game series.
That is the thing. You can have a good plan for Wemby and still spend half the game looking like you have no idea what to do with him.
Exactly. He's already a generational defender, and then offensively, he just gives you all this weird stuff that doesn't really fit any normal coverages, like his post touches, his face ups, he gives you threes, he gives you lobs out of nowhere, can generate second chances. It's just a lot to deal with.
Yeah, and for me, I kept coming back to the same question for New York. Who actually starts on Wemby?
I think it's going to be OG Anunoby, and he has to be treated as more than just a backup defensive option here.
Yeah, because even though OG gives up a lot of height, he has been one of the best Wemby defenders in the league statistically.
Exactly. I mean, Wemby's going to shoot over almost anyone without much trouble, but and I acknowledge the height difference definitely matters, but OG is really strong, he's disciplined, and he's physical enough to make him work before he even gets to his spots.
That is the thing. Wemby is still Wemby, so you're not stopping him completely. But OJ can bother his handle, push him off balance, and make those touches less comfortable.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably the best case scenario against him. I mean, you're not trying to erase him, you're not trying to take him out of the game completely. That's not possible. You're just trying to make every catch, every dribble, every shot harder than it has to be.
The other benefit is that it keeps Karl Anthony Towns away from early foul trouble.
Yeah, and that's massive because we know that if Cat can pick up 2 quick fouls at the start of the game, the Knicks are going to immediately start losing that spacing, that rebounding, and also that high post playmaking that's been such a big part of their offense this playoffs.
So I would not be shocked at all if OG gets the first look from game 1, with Cat and Mitch Robinson helping behind him depending on health and matchups.
Yeah, and if OG can really make Wemby uncomfortable, even slightly, that changes the whole series.
Speaking of Mitch, that pinky injury is a weird storyline before the finals.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, It was off-court activities, was the report. Broke his finger right before you're about to play Victor Wembanyama in the NBA Finals. I mean, not ideal.
No, not at all. The recent video footage from a Knicks practice session does look encouraging, though. He seems to be moving normally and gripping the ball without much visible discomfort. May, Maybe it won't be as big of a factor as it originally appeared to be.
Yeah, I mean, still, even if he plays, you wonder how much it's going to affect his catching of the ball, finishing, and just his general physicality. Against San Antonio's length and defense, the Knicks are going to need every bit of size and rebounding that they can get.
But the good injury news for New York is that OG came back from the hamstring issue in the Eastern Conference Finals and looked like himself again.
Yeah, that's massive. I mean, if OG is looking right, he becomes one of the most important players in this series without a doubt.
Yeah, for sure. On the Spurs side, De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper were both banged up during the Western Conference Finals, but Harper looked much better late in the series.
Yeah, Hopper seemed to get his legs back under him in the last couple of games, but Fox is the one that I'll be watching a little bit more closely. I mean, if that ankle isn't right, it changes San Antonio's rim pressure straight away.
And if Fox is good to go, the Knicks' point of attack defense has a lot more to deal with.
Yeah, the Spurs have a massive question on the other side as well. I mean, who's going to guard Jalen Brunson?
Yeah, for sure. I would probably start with Stephon Castle and see how that looks. He has the size and physicality, and he is not going to be scared at the moment.
Yeah, and Devin Vassell also kind of makes a bit of sense if they want to put a little bit more length on him, but I mean, Brunson is just a tough cover no matter what right now. He's getting to his spots, controlling the pace, and any small mistake a defender makes, he's going to make them pay.
Yeah, but not only that, the Knicks are not just resorting to Brunson ball anymore. That is the big difference between this year when compared to the last few playoff runs. Cat's shooting and high post passing have made them so much harder to load up on.
Yeah, you can't just send bodies to Brunson and assume that the possession is going to die out anymore. I mean, Cat's going to punish you on the rotation. OG can hit shots or dive at the rim for easy dunks. Mikal Bridges is attacking closeouts and shooting lights out from the mid range and from three. And then Josh Hart is always lurking around for rebounds and creating those chaos plays. Not to mention, he's being able to stay respectable from three if you decide to leave him open, like we saw in that Cleveland series.
Yeah, and that is probably the series for me. Can San Antonio truly slow down Brunson and Cat enough without giving up too much elsewhere?
Yeah, and then from the Knicks' point of view, can they defend Wemby with OG, Cat, and Mitch effectively enough?
Really exciting stuff. Home court does matter too. The Spurs get first two at home and will be looking to head back up to New York up 2-0.
Yeah, but if the Knicks can steal just one game, that pressure flips pretty quickly. I mean, the Spurs are young, they're coming off a really long Oklahoma City series against the defending champs, and the Knicks have been resting.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a series of momentum. I do think the Knicks deserve to be taken seriously right now, though. 11 straight playoff wins is crazy, and that plus 20.1 net rating is ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree, but I mean, the Spurs just have that player on their team who can flip everything on its head in a second. I mean, if Wemby can control the paint like he did against the Thunder, and he can force the Knicks into awkward lineups and bad shot selection, I mean, this can get pretty messy pretty quickly.
Yeah, the bench battle is going to be really pivotal as well. Juice McBride, Landry Shamet, and Jordan Clarkson and Jose Alvarado have all been critical to the New York success this year, whereas the Spurs have the sixth man of the year, Keldon Johnson. They have a rising superstar in Dylan Harper, as well as veterans like Luke Cornett and Harrison Barnes, not to mention Carter Bryant, who is becoming a dependable defender and better than expected three-point shooter.
Yeah, so for New York, ultimately, this is about proving that this playoff run has not just been a hot streak through a weak Eastern Conference. They have to show that they've been the most dominant team in the playoffs, and they have to finish the job.
Yeah, and for San Antonio, it is about Wemby arriving maybe earlier than expected. If they win this, the dynamic of the NBA shifts dramatically.
Either way, it's a great matchup. Knicks momentum, depth, Bronson, Cat, OG, and that defense against Wemby and the Spurs with home court advantage, who just beat the defending champs.
Game one should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we'll be back to cover the NBA Finals in full, so please make sure to like the video and subscribe.
See you in the next one.